I don't care what they think. I mean, these are the same people who elected the mayor and city council that ran the city's public safety into the ground in the first place.
You don't care what the residents...
They don't know what's good for them.
You don't care what the residents of D.C. think.
I do not. I do not care one bit.
Hey guys, so Scott Jennings has returned for yet another CNN Smackdown with Abby Phillip. Now he's yet again going to explain to the panel why Democrats are losing and unpopular. And they are yet again going to rebuke his good analysis. So let's get into it.
I think the Democrats are hemorrhaging voters because they've chosen all the wrong constituencies. They seem to care more about illegal aliens than American citizens, violent criminals than law-abiding citizens, and the Palestinian flag more than the American flag.
That is not true, and that is
when you take those positions on things like that, people tend to run to the other party. And
is there one mainstream Democrat that said he likes illegal immigrants over?
And you know that's not necessarily
Chris Van Hollen? There's one.
He said that? Chris Van Hollen did not say that.
He went and had margaritas at Montaz.
He met with Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, who was brought back to the United States. The administration conceded that he was sent there wrongfully, so Chris Van Hollen...
I mean, if you want to keep going down this road...
All right, Alencia.
You claim that Democrats like crime.
Hold on. As someone...
You claim that the Democrats like crime, this guy says? That's absurd. They obviously do like crime. They've come out and more or less stated that in their opposition to Trump's crime crackdown in DC. Now, Scott Jennings hits the nail on the head here, and you can tell that he knows it. Look at that expression. But I think the smugness is warranted because he's up against a panel of people who don't know what they're talking about, or at least don't want to admit that, yes, this is the Democrats' strategy stretching back many years. Their strategy has been to build this coalition of the disaffected, right? To get all these supposedly marginalized groups and kind of just glom them together into one big voting bloc. And I think a lot of this was based off of sort of the blueprint of the civil rights movement. And then they realized, hey, we can apply this blueprint to gays and other sexualities and furries and, people that are attracted to cars and whatever. Hey, we can apply this blueprint to illegal aliens. Hey, we could apply it to criminals. And for many years, Democrats have maintained that the United States has this prison industrial complex and that we're putting too many people in prison and that, Republicans are just foaming at the mouth to incarcerate innocent or basically innocent people, right? People who have committed minor offenses. But if anything, it seems like we're not incarcerating people enough, or we're definitely not incarcerating the right ones because the same people somehow end up back on the streets over and over and over again and commit the same offenses. I mean, you have these prolific shoplifters in cities like San Francisco with enormous records that just keep being let out of prison and keep shoplifting. That's a pretty predictable consequence. And sometimes people like this do escalate, and then they do end up committing violent crimes. So remember Jordan Neely, the homeless guy or Michael Jackson impersonator, if you're a member of the liberal press, who was put in a chokehold by Daniel Penny on the subway. So Jordan Neely was spun by some members of the media as this guy who was just down on his luck and kind of innocent and wasn't hurting anybody. But in fact, he had pled guilty to assaulting a 67-year-old woman. And he was threatening other passengers on the train with violent threats. And so when you let people like this back out on the street, what it says to Americans and constituents is, hey, listen, we care about Jordan Neely, for example. We care about Jordan Neely's right to terrorize you more than we care about your right to get to work in safety. And I think voters know that. And I think that's why they are rejecting the Democrats. And as for Dems defending illegal migrants or caring about illegal migrants more than citizens, it's almost every single prominent Democrat. I mean, anyone who maintains that we need sanctuary cities or that we can't deport people who are in our country illegally is implicitly prioritizing the rights, again, of illegal aliens over American citizens. Because American citizens are disenfranchised in all sorts of ways by having illegal aliens in the country. I mean, even if they commit no further crimes beyond trespassing into America, you can point to other effects that are pretty much guaranteed by an influx of foreign illegal migrants. So wage depression, for one, but also just community disruption, right? This feeling that you actually don't know who your neighbors are. You don't know if they have a criminal record in their home country. Maybe they don't speak the same language. And so there are all of these signs that Democrats really do care about illegal migrants and criminals and whoever else more than they care about American citizens. And so I think people are well aware of what the Democrats' priorities are. So part of Abby Phillips' argument in this segment is that actually DC residents don't want Donald Trump coming in. They don't want the National Guard. They don't want a greater police presence. Maybe it doesn't make them feel safer. And so her evidence is this Washington Post SHAR poll that was conducted recently. So let's hear what she has to say on that.
I don't care what they think. I mean, these are the same people who elected the mayor and city council that ran the city's public safety into the ground in the first place.
You don't care what the residents...
They don't know what's good for them.
You don't care
No,
what the residents of D.C. think.
I do not. I do not care one bit, and I'll tell you something else.
I feel like I do remember just a couple of weeks ago you were saying, well, secretly D.C. residents really want this because they know the crime is so bad.
I don't know
now
what
we
they
actually
want.
have the
I know what
numbers
they
that
need.
say, will Trump's federal takeover reduce violent crime? 65% say no, just 20% say yes. Do you feel like the presence of federal officers makes you feel safer, more safe, 18%, less safe, 61%?
Why would they say that? They're out arresting criminals. They're arresting illegal aliens. They're getting illegal guns off the streets. An MS-13 illegal alien was taken out off the streets the other night. They're obviously safer. But, you know, there's another population that cares about public safety in D.C. It's all the people who visit there. We have people that go there, millions of people from all over the country. They deserve to go to a national capital that's not in disgrace and despair, and that's what they're doing in Washington. So I don't really care about what they think, truthfully.
Let me let Len.
So Scott Jennings brings up a good point, which is that Washington, D.C. is our nation's capital. It's every American's capital. And so we should be able to feel pride in it. We should be able to visit it. We should be able to enjoy the history and the heritage there and the architecture without being afraid that we're going to be, assaulted by an illegal alien or just a street vagrant. But this poll that Abby Phillip is citing is also sort of suspect. I mean, so they interviewed a little over 600 people, which isn't a terrible sample size, but they also published the crosstabs. And so what that means is that you can break down the responses according to, the respondents' political ideology, according to their sex, their race, their location, and their party affiliation. And I'm looking at them right now, and what it looks like is that they only polled Democrats and independents or non-affiliated people. So it doesn't even seem like we got a sample size for what Republicans are thinking, for what Republicans who live in D.C. are thinking about Trump's approach to crime. Now, granted, there are a lot less Republicans in D.C., I think, than Democrats. But you could still say, well, there might be some people who aren't registered with the Republican Party, but are conservative in feeling, right? And it would be good to know how these people are feeling about the crime crackdown. Well, we don't know that either, because these researchers looked at very liberal people, they looked at somewhat liberal people, and they looked at moderate people. Now, they do have a category that says net moderate/conservative opinion, so I guess that they're counting moderates, self-described moderates, as conservative. So this just seems like a critical point to bring up about the study, is that you're not really getting, how DC residents feel per se. You're getting how liberal DC residents feel. And it's pretty unsurprising that liberal people in DC are going to be opposed to something that Trump's doing, because they're opposed to everything that he does, even if it materially benefits them, even if it actually vastly improves their life because, they're safer and their family and friends are safer. Doesn't matter. They have to be opposed on principle. But anyway, Scott held his own on this panel. He brings up some great points about Democrats. Let me know what you thought in the comments section below. Give this video a like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.